to 108 Idea Space, where we invite association leaders and peers and unpack the choices behind big wins and the systems that make them stick. I'm Manny from 108 Idea Space, and today's episode is a masterclass in leading change when trust is on the line. When you have an organization that has been doing well for so long, but you see the opportunity for change. Our guest has decades of experience in marketing and comms. She has led high stakes brand refresh across legacy membership base and helped translate that identity into real world momentum, transforming the perceived image of the brand that keeps the heritage of the legacy members, but still appeals to the future generations. Um, she has worked for 18 plus years at ASNT, the American Society of Non-Destructive Testing, as a former director of marketing and comms, now the director of public relations and government affairs. She is Garra Liming. Garra, thanks for joining us.
Yes, thanks, Manny, for having me. I'm excited to talk about this topic.
That's awesome. In the next 30 minutes, I think we did a great job on kind of um, narrowing down on the topic, which is how to lead a trust first rebrand that wins over your membership's trust and creates momentum for growth. But before we dive into that, I wanted to toss it over to you. Share more about your journey, why work in associations, like you could work in corporate, why ASNT, and how has this whole journey been for you?
Yeah, so I've been with, as you mentioned, Manny, with ASNT for about 18 years. I stumbled upon it, non-destructive testing. Most people don't know what it's about, and so that's like what marketing and communications about. And what my new role is to bring more awareness to non-destructive testing. And just for the audience, just a quick overview of what NDT is. It's testing something without destroying it, like a building part, a bridge, it's materials using the same technology that medical doctors use. So, for instance, if you break your arm, they're not going to cut you open to look at it, they're going to do an x-ray. So, that's just simply what NDT is. And once you explain it, they make sense. And so I've been with ASNT, like I said, for 18 years. I love the mission, to advance the field of NDT. It's just very simple and straightforward. I was in the marketing role for about 10 years, and the content team had decided, we want to refresh our website. And so we hired somebody to do it, and they're like, what would you think about doing a rebrand? And I was like, I'm totally in for that. And so that's kind of how it started. And so we'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like. We had a very dated outlook logo, but we also we have really good brand image in the community worldwide. So it was a big undertaking, and we had to go through a lot of process. It was over a year and a half to get from start to finish, and we'll talk more about what that path looks like.
Okay, that's awesome. This is so exciting. I also noticed that from marketing and comms, where you speak to the members, to public affairs, where you speak for the members,
Yep.
that's such I'd say, good transition of your role. What inspired that?
Well, it was more about we really have a workforce issue and the fact that there's just not enough people doing NDT, and we have more people retiring than coming into the field. And so we've never really had a whole advocacy program. And so I moved to Washington, D.C. Almost a year ago, and been here, been on Capitol Hill, just advocating for the industry itself. So it's just kind of my background in marketing and communications just kind of led to a full-time position in advocacy and legislative affairs and government affairs too.
Okay. All right. So you shared a bit about the organization, also that the rebrand originated where it did. Um, I'm assuming, the rebrand, the change in your role, it's all part of a big picture. What is that big picture? Can you shine a light on that as well?
Yeah, I mean, the big picture for me is, like I said, just bringing awareness to the field. A lot of people don't understand that, having a career in NDT is a great career. it's financially stable as well. And it's not just people in the field. You can do research, engineers. There's just a lot of opportunity. Sales, business development, marketing. We just came back from our annual conference in Orlando, Florida, and we had over 2,500 people there. So it was
Mhm.
just a great conference, and ASNT is an global organization as well. About half of our membership is outside of the United States.
Okay. Yeah, and I think in one of our initial conversations, we did talk about that everyone wants to be a doctor or an engineer and
Yep,
those things, and how you're working towards making people aware about NDT,
yep,
accepting it, accessing it, and a lot of other things. But I think that's a conversation where we need to another do another podcast.
yes,
Um,
absolutely.
Yeah, let's dive back into the rebrand piece. Um, what was the behind the scenes vision or win in mind? I mean, what was the North Star that you wanted to keep in that you kept in mind all along when you're going through the rebrand process? Because from where I see it, this was not just changing the logo or changing the colors. I think the ASNT brand has been strong for so long, but what was the win that kept you going and what drove this whole thing?
I mean, in simple terms, we still wanted to be ASNT. We still wanted people to look at the logo and still see ASNT, but more of a modern touch to bring in, the new younger people. And so, yeah, it was just simply just we still wanted to be ASNT. We didn't, we the company that we worked with had contemplated, "But what about changing your name?" I'm like, no, we're not going to change our name, but we will change our logo. So
Okay. Okay. So I think making it more easy to adopt for the future generations was the goal,
yes, yes,
while making sure that you've been around from 1940, your
yep,
legacy
1941, yep,
1941, so it still resonates with them as well.
yep.
Okay. Um, but when a brand is working so well, what kind of signals told you that this is the right time? Like, why now is the question that's going on in my mind.
I think a lot of it had to do with we were really thinking about our new website and the customer journey. And no matter what we did with the website, that logo was just going to stick out and just it was just never going to be modern. It was just never going to
Mhm.
work with the new look that we were trying to go with. So that really helped with that process. And then, we talked with our board of directors, we talked with plenty of members, we did focus groups, we did surveys. I mean, we did our homework when it came to it. We even showed the board different iterations of the logo. I think we showed like four versions. They hated it all, so we went back to the drawing board. I mean, in the end, it was what but we wanted that feedback, and
Exactly.
we had some very big voices on the board, and I made sure I didn't shy away from talking to the folks. I wanted those are the people that I wanted on board.
Uh-huh. That's a good strategy because I think what I'm hearing constantly, Garra, is modernization, future generations. And I think it all ties down to workforce development and getting the future generation interested in the field. And
Yes.
that was the strategic goal behind all of this. And I know a lot of organizations start the rebrand process, but it kind of just phases out or not happen because they get a lot of pushback. But from what I'm hearing from you, you kind of invited a lot of feedback and pushback. What was the most difficult part? The execution, the design, the pushback, building trust in the vision. What do
You
we?
know, I think I actually expected more pushback than I got.
Okay.
I think people were, I mean, I had the voices that told me we should not be doing this. There's nothing wrong with our brand. And I said, I get that. We're going to stay true to ASNT. We're going to stay true to that brand. And like I said, we just had lots of focus groups, one-on-one interviews, just talk to them about what does ASNT mean to
Hmm.
you? Like when you look at that logo, like what do you want people to feel and everything?
Okay. And when you did that, so I think um, it is a key piece in change that people should feel heard. People, and once they feel heard, they're more receptive to change.
Right.
There's a trust that is established.
Exactly, exactly. That's why I went to the ones with the biggest voices and made sure that they were included somehow, whether it be the survey, whether it be one of the focus groups or the interviews. The whole board was included in this as well. So we did our homework to make sure that we heard our members because that's what you want. That's how they trust you. You're not going to making a big change and then not including them and we can say, I mean, it went really smoothly. So I was very pleased and surprised by that. But we did, like I said, it was a long process. It was like a year and a half by the time we launched the logo.
Okay, yeah, and so when was the time that indicated you that the people with the voices, the people who are um, let me use the word skeptical with the
Yeah,
change, uh, are now on board
yeah,
and they also
yeah,
see this rebrand as mission
yeah,
critical as you do.
yeah,
What was that moment like, and how did that?
yeah. Well, I think I shared this with you when we talked previously, Manny, but one of our members has been around forever. One of the almost, you want to say, help find,
Wow.
ASNT. And, when I reached out to him, he was pretty much like, Garra, we do not need to change the logo. It's fine. It's all good. And I said, okay. And then after it was all said and done, when we sent out the communication, he responded back and he's like, great job. Looks great. So that was very validating to hear that from him.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And what do you think they saw or these different groups needed to see to feel confident?
I think they just wanted to be part of the process and they wanted to and once we shared with them, hey, this is why we're doing it. We need
Hmm.
to modernize the logo a little bit. It's okay to do this. It just and share with them that it's not going to hurt our brand. And we did a lot of research in like I mentioned earlier, we have, over 50% of our membership outside the United States. We made sure that they had a voice as well.
Hmm. Okay. So I think um, building that group of people may have been one of your initial jobs
Yeah.
in making this a success. How did you identify who to pick, who would be part of that focus group? Are there any signs, signals, interests?
Well, part of my job as marketing is, knowing our volunteers and our members and communicating with them. And then we reached out to other staff as well to say, hey, who should we include in this? And like I said, our whole board of directors, 18 people, they were included as well. And then we have a bunch of councils and committees as well. So we included them as well. And then just a regular member that maybe doesn't volunteer at the ASNT, we sent out a survey to thousands of
Mhm.
people as well to get their feedback.
Okay. All right. So it must have been a big group that you managed and kind of not managed, but worked with,
Yeah.
collaborated with. All right. So we, we talked a little bit about trust. Let's double click on that. Um, this was much more than just, as I said earlier, just design and execution and font style. This is change management, vision alignment, biggest piece being trust. Like, how can an organization identify areas where trust in this vision is lagging the most? Because I see a lot of organizations out there who may be considering a rebrand, who may be considering that, in order to attract younger membership, they need to change a few things. But I think the biggest piece which is missing is how do you identify where trust is lagging? Um, Especially when you have a group or a bigger board or a committee that's working
Yeah.
towards it. Um, can you give us some tips or ideas that they can consider?
Well, I think when you're an association, you volunteers and members, the people that they just voice their concerns, they voice their opinions, and so you're dealing with them on a regular basis, and that's fine because those are the the members that you want, the volunteers you want to help make your association successful. So that's what we kind of honed in on. There's a group of people that we felt would have the biggest um, concern, or why wasn't I asked this? Why wasn't I involved in this? This is my association. And so we just made sure to, grab a list of those people and, not do anything behind their backs, basically. Just include them. Like I said, because when people are heard, they get to voice their concerns, or they get to voice their ideas. That's when stuff goes smoothly because you are not leaving anybody out in the dark. You're
Mhm.
including them because without members, associations wouldn't exist. So you
That's
have
right.
to you have to think about them. Always think about the members.
That's right. And for organizations which are like one, two, maybe five people, staff members, what are a few things that they can do because they have even less time. There's so many wearing so many different hats. Obviously, you are too, but they are a much leaner team. What are a few things that you would advise them to do as step one if they're thinking about a rebrand?
I would definitely hire out to do something like that. I mean, we had a marketing team in house, but we knew that we didn't have the time, number one, the know-how. And so I would definitely interview companies and hire that part out because they'll do most of the legwork for you and show you like the steps that you need to take. So we interviewed a few people, but we ended up going with the same organization that redid our website as well.
Okay. Okay. All right, that's a good tip. I think if the rebrand is strategically aligned, then it would rather make sense for someone who is doing it day in and day out than
Yes.
chewing into the capacity of the team itself.
Yep.
All right.
And that's what they do. I mean, this is what they do. So yeah, I would highly suggest that if you can afford it to go through a company, a
And
marketing firm.
That's a great point, and not just the expertise, but at the same time, when a third party, like a company, is part of the process, sometimes there are things that they can say very bluntly and
Yes.
crazily
Yep.
that
Yep.
that a person inside may refrain from saying, right? Can you give me instances or examples where something like that happened, where you kind of tag teamed with with the external partner in bringing the things forward to your committees?
Yeah. So that's one of the things that we talked about. They're like, how deep do you want to go into this? How involved do you want your members to be? And so that's one of the things that we worked on was like, okay, how many people is a good amount? Because we had a board member ask, well, how many people did you actually interview? How many people did the focus groups? And so you want enough numbers, a percentage of your members to be able to say that they were asked all the questions regarding the brand, even the name change. But like I said, we kind of we nixed
Mhm.
that pretty quickly because we just need to keep our name. But yeah, you just gotta, like I said, just gotta make them feel involved and that their opinion matters and that we're actually listening to them.
Obviously, you don't change everything in a rebrand. For example, the name, you said that we're not going to change the name. I'm sure there must be other things which were part of the old identity that you wanted to preserve,
Yep.
and some things that you wanted to retire and change. How do you identify those and why change those specific elements?
So our old logo had we called it the ASNT blue, and we kept that color in our brand, but we added more colors to it as well. Like I said, we went through probably 12 iterations of it before we landed on one. And we would poll staff as well to say, hey, what do you think about this? We played along with, the letters like ASNT, like making the A look a little different. And I did win that battle. So it's like, I had some people say I don't get that. I was like, I don't care. That stayed. I like that. So I ended up getting my A that I wanted. But we kept the blue. And we also, I don't know if I mentioned this, but we also have We have several arms of ASNT. We have ASNT India. We set up shop in India, and we have our ASNT Foundation, and we also have our ASNT certification services. So we had to somehow match them all together, but have their own look. And so we were able to. So we did four new logos.
Okay. And I think um, step one is logos, designs, rebrand.
Yep,
And
yep,
in a lot of cases, step two is rebuilding the website.
yep.
Um,
And we
how,
had a story too behind our brand. Like
okay.
why did we change it? I mean, I can't remember exactly what it said, but we shared that story with with the volunteers, the board, and they got it. They're like, okay, that makes sense. We understand why you're doing this.
Okay.
Gotta have a
Right.
story behind it.
That's awesome. And now that we've talked about what kind of triggered, what were the some of the implications, how did you do it? Let's talk about some of the evidence that showed you that this was a success. A lot of times, you know, a rebrand, like you said, workforce, modernization, future generations. These were some of your strategic wins that you wanted from this. But it also ties into the revenue streams because
Hmm.
if you get new members, your membership dues increases, your certification dues increases, XYZ. How how did the rebrand, impact the revenues? Are you seeing that already, or you feel that you'll see the impact of that on the bottom line and the revenues in the next few years? Uh, what are some of the indicators?
Yeah, so I don't really know the answer to that question if our revenues has increased because of the new brand, but I will say we've got new members, younger members, so we
Okay.
can attribute that to it as well. And we launched our brand too at our annual conference that we had a couple years ago, so that was nice to all of a sudden say, "Here's our new brand." We did a
Yeah.
nice video and stuff of how it the evolution of it from here to there. It was pretty cool.
Okay, I guess we should touch upon that in a second. What other two or three evidence signals told you that the new identity served your strategic goals better than the old one? I know one of them was you're getting new members. What else?
I know that we have sections or chapters as well, and so they adopted the new brand as well very easily. So that was a concern that we had as well, that our sections would be like, no, 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 because they had they printed out, cups, pens, pencils, that kind of thing with it on, but they adapted that well. But back to your original question, um, I'm just not sure I can speak to that, to be honest with you, about
Okay.
the revenue wise. So,
Okay.
and I mean, I know it didn't hurt us for sure. I mean, our
Yes.
revenues are continuing to grow. I just don't know that I can match it to
The
that it was
rebrand
because of our
itself.
brand. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there like increasing revenues or anything for that matter, like membership increase, cannot be attributed to just one
Right.
move.
Right.
There's so much that needs to work
Yes.
at the same time. I think it's like a car; all the four
Yep.
wheels need to be
Yep.
moving
Yep.
in
Well, it's just
order
like
to.
adding our new website as well. I think having a new brand, a new website, I think absolutely our sales did grow because of that.
Mhm. And when a new rebrand happens, there's like chapters, there's different, like you said, ASNT India. Um, how do you keep all of these different properties on the same brand? Like, did you build like a governance structure? And even from a technology standpoint, I know our firm did a rebrand for an organization which had 51 chapters
Yeah.
and a district, and they all had different website properties. And most of those websites are being managed by volunteers, not staff
Right. Right.
members.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
what our firm did for them was they built a master website and that they extended that master website for each of these 51 districts so that if
Yep.
anything changes on the master, it reflects on these district website
Yep.
as well. So it never seems like a no man's land ever. What were some of the things that you baked into this whole thing so that it is consistent across all these properties?
So one of the things that the company helped us do is build out brand guidelines, and
Okay.
so it had guidelines for all of our the ASNT certification services, ASNT India, ASNT Foundation, all of our chapters. We build a communication plans through our marketing tool HubSpot to let people know, hey, this is you need. And then we have it's called a DAM. And so we have all of the logos in there. We created all their section logos, and then they were able to go there, link to it, download it. And so then we had someone follow up too to make sure if they needed any help or whatever. But it was really about building that brand guidelines, having an area like you mentioned for them to go download their correct logo in a horizontal, vertical, black, white. We gave them all different kinds of stuff. And then our communication plans. We really continued to do that. And
Okay.
we're still doing it. We still find our old logo out on
Yeah.
partners' websites and everything. So that's just something that, we have to do. Our publications, if they weren't due for a reprint or a redo, as we update those, they get the new brand.
Okay. So, and at this point, when you operationalize the new brand, what are some of the challenges that organizations should consider, especially if they have like so many different properties where the new brand should reflect? Could you shine light on those areas?
Yeah, so one thing I would suggest is to start early on that. Like, what's that communication plan going to look like? What's the timeline going to look like? How long are you going to give people? You really got to set the rules per se on that, and then actually help them as well. So like I said, we worked with the publications director. She's got a calendar of books to say, okay, this is when the books will have the new brand, and we weren't going to move forward ahead without that. So, but yeah, so just having a really good timeline, communications in place, who's doing that, who's responsible for it, who's checking on it. You just got to make sure that you're just checking off a list to make sure and that there's follow up as well.
Okay. And typically, whenever a new launch happens, the biggest concern for anyone leading the whole project is the quality of the launch. But there are so many different aspects. There's time, there's budget, there's so much that you can do, but you
Oh
need to
yeah.
what trade-offs did you make while protecting the quality of the launch? You mentioned you launched it at the conference.
Yes.
Um, what were the different areas that you had in mind were ne non-negotiable, but some areas where you thought that okay, we can let this go.
Well, one of our ideas was to launch it earlier in the week. So our conference runs from like Monday to Thursday. So we had talked about having the old logo up, and then all of a sudden, like we have a 4 o'clock on Monday opening note, keynote, and then announce the logo there, and then everything became the new logo. But that was way too expensive when we thought about that. So we actually waited until the end of the week, Thursday, and then had a nice video made. Our CEO went up and talked about the brand. Thanked all the members for their help. Talked a little bit about the process, and then we ended the conference with the new brand. And then we told them that they would start seeing it. It was in October, November, and it was January when we would do the official launch. So
The big
it was good.
reveal.
It was good. I love the idea of the first one, but we realized how expensive that would be to redo everything overnight and stuff. So we just said, oh, we'll just make it a big bang at the end of the conference. So
Right. I think if only everything were like digital screens and everything digital, then it's
yep,
just that you change the logo. But
yep,
at a conference where most of it is tangible, it's
yes,
it's
yes, yes.
posters and
Well,
it's
that's the largest gathering of our members, so it just made sense. We wanted to do some kind of launch there. And then, like I said, we built out a communications plan where we started letting people know, okay, the new logo is going to start. It gave our sections time to change. Yeah, like I said, we really worked hard on putting that just our communications together regarding the launch of it. And yeah, it was great. It was well worth the effort and the time, and it just looks so good. So we're very proud of it.
That's amazing. And I know you mentioned that one of the members who were initially not on board
We had
eventually.
several not on board.
Yes.
So
And so after the launch, what kind of feedback did you receive? And are there any testimonials or any words that really kind of gave you
I would
goosebumps and say that, this was so worth it?
Well, I would say 95% of the feedback was very positive. We did
Mhm.
have a few emails from people to say you should have left it the old way. But,
Mhm.
but like I said, overall it was very positive. There was really um, there was just really no issues, nothing that we couldn't handle. So it was a very overall positive experience, and I kind of wish we had done it earlier.
Okay. All right. And you said 95% was positive, 5% were like, you shouldn't have done this.
Yeah.
How do you, now that it's already done, how do you manage that relationship? How do you manage that conversation when someone comes to you and say, no, you should have left it that way?
I mean, honestly, we just say thank you for your feedback. And you just got to go with it. I mean, you can't
Okay.
make everybody happy.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, it's about how the organization is moving strategically
Yep.
toward common goal. And I think even in a family of four, it's hard to keep everyone happy. But
Yeah.
when you're
Yeah.
managing such a
Yeah.
big membership
Yep.
group,
Yep.
95% is a very impressive number.
Oh, it is. Like I was very, very, very pleased with it, and I lost some sleep, during the process. They go, "What are we doing here?" But overall, it was a really, like I said, the key for us was really working with a firm that works with associations. They know that,
Yes.
and that's another thing I would suggest too, is like these marketing firms make sure they familiar with associations.
That's right. And yeah, I mean, I agree. Having worked in the nonprofit and for-profit space, the association community, all in all, is way different. Like, there's no one shareholder who cares
Yes.
about just the revenue and his pockets or his or her pockets.
Yeah.
Here, it's more about, and we talk about this a lot. We are in the technology space, so uh, we talk about the ROI, but also the ROM, the return on mission. I think that becomes that's the place where the whole community is driven towards, and
Yeah.
that really helps navigate the overall change
Yep.
management in the conversation.
Yep.
Now, we covered why the rebrand, how, and what showed the wins. So kind of encapsulated everything. I also wanted to touch a little bit about a thing that you mentioned on our first call, which was ASNT also launched a free membership.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
yes. Can you tell us more about that and how does that align with some of the strategic movements, like the big picture?
Yeah. Like a lot of associations, our membership was declining. A lot of that had to do with the pandemic. And,
Hmm.
we just never really recovered from that. I mean, we've got a really good people renew their renewal rates. 85%, I think, is where we're at. And
Hmm.
so, but we just weren't getting that new person. And that has a lot to do with the fact that a lot of people don't know what NDT is as well. So
Hmm.
we took the chance and offered a free membership. It's called associate membership. And then we have a membership for an NDT professional, and then one for um, one person. We have two. We're really into AI as well. So we got an NDT Pro Tracker and Anita. And Anita is our AI tool that has our body of knowledge in it. You can ask questions to help you study for exams, that kind of thing. But our free membership, if I remember correctly, we've got over 3,000 new members. And then our non-dues have almost $100,000. So
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
that's
In the
amazing.
course of a year, less than a year. So
So it kind of paid for itself.
yes,
And
yes,
I think it's gonna increase. And I think I would call it a freemium membership, not
yes.
free.
Yeah,
I guess you want to get them in the door,
exactly,
show them the
exactly.
value,
Yep.
but at the same time, I feel that's the future. I could be completely wrong, but that's the future.
I
Um,
100% agree.
yes, you come in for the brand, you come in knowing what all this brand can offer, but you kind of get what you want.
Hmm.
You pay for what you want. So
Yep.
I think but the biggest key here is how do you differentiate the paid from the free membership? So when you introduce the free entry tier, how do you protect the paid tier value and measure conversion rather than,
Well,
cannibalize the whole thing? So,
Well, the freemium version, they don't get as much access to our content. So I
mhm.
think that just gives them a taste of what we are. They get some of our newsletters, our emails, that kind of thing. And then just to see, okay, well, I really want to get my certifications. I want to, buy books, want to do this. So then they upgrade their membership to reflect that. So like I said, we just launched it within the last 10 months. So we'll know more information as we go on how we're converting those freemium models to the paid versions of our membership.
Okay. I think we covered a lot of ground today,
Yeah,
Garra. I
yeah,
mean, the rebrand, the freemium membership, but all tied to one mission, one strategy, which was,
yep,
uh, from my lens, was you notice that, you have a strong membership that is staying with you, but how do you introduce new people to the
yep.
world of NDT? How do you make them aware of it? How do you remove any hurdles and make it more accessible with freemium membership. I think that was the strategy and that was the goal here. Um, and it sounds like that it's going super amazing. It's
It
going
is.
well. Again, it's not a one-off thing. It's an ongoing thing. So I'm assuming there's so much that you're managing right now, your team. This has been super helpful. If you had one piece of advice for anyone who's considering a rebrand, or maybe a few pointers, anything comes to mind for them?
Um, don't be afraid to do it. I mean, just don't just I mean it was worth it for us. And I think if
Mhm.
you do it right, it's probably worth it for most people that do a rebrand.
That's awesome. All right, so I want to close with a quick round of rapid fire. All right.
Okay.
We're
I don't know
gonna
if I'm
keep
going to
it.
like this or not.
That's okay. It's super easy. It's not gonna be really serious. We're gonna keep it really casual. Okay.
Okay.
Let's start with something really easy. What's your favorite pizza topping?
Pepperoni.
Pepperoni. All right. Okay. Now, coffee, tea, or something stronger to survive a conference season.
Bourbon. I'm not a coffee or tea drinker, so
Okay. What's a word or phrase you overuse in meetings or difficult conversations?
oh shoot. Legit. I always say the word legit.
Legit.
Yeah.
I know a lot of my friends are like, they use the word like.
Yeah.
So, like, we did this, and like, they were like that.
Oh, I probably do that as well. So
Okay.
too. I
You
use that.
know? Yeah. All right. Um, if Now this is a bit about the organization. If ASNT had a theme song, what would it be? Anything comes to
Oh
mind?
shoot, theme song. Um, I don't know off the top of my head. I should know.
All
I'll
right.
think of it afterwards, probably.
All right. I'll put it in the notes for this podcast then.
Okay.
All right. Um, we're all so savvy with these devices here, right?
Oh
We cannot
yes.
live without those. So what's the first app you open in the morning? And uh, you can be honest, it can be emails, it can be anything.
It's probably email to be, it's honestly email. So, or I'll go to like social media too, like LinkedIn or that kind of thing.
Okay. And how soon after you wake up do you open your mobile and check these
Oh,
apps?
it's the first thing I do when I open my eyes, not gonna lie.
Yeah, same here. I think, but it's a constant. I'm trying to be conscious that I do not do that. So I think today I woke up and I made it that, I'm not gonna open my phone for the at least first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So let's see where that goes.
I need to
All
do
right, this has
that.
been
I'm
so,
gonna make it.
yeah, exactly, exactly. It can grow from 15 to an hour.
Yeah,
That'll be the dream. But it's so ingrained in our system now,
yeah,
especially if you have your alarm on the phone itself.
yeah, yeah.
So,
You know,
but this has been
that's
so
what
awesome,
wakes
Gareth.
me up.
Thank you so
So
much. Yes. This has been so awesome, Gara. Thank you so much
thank you,
for
Manny,
your
for having
time.
me. I appreciate it. So
Yes. Thank you so much for, lifting the curtain on this whole change that you managed and your team. Congratulations to the whole ASNT team,
thank you.
to the people who participated in the rebrand. This has been awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep, thank you.